Welcome back to She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. I'm your host, DocShellie, here to bring you your daily dose of inspiration, empowerment, and growth. Have you ever tried to talk yourself into continuing something because you couldn't come up with a good enough reason to stop? The job is fine, the relationship isn't that bad, the commitment, it's manageable, the goal still makes sense on paper. Nothing is really wrong. So you tell yourself, I should be grateful. Other people would love this opportunity. I've already invested so much. Why can't I just be happy with what I have? And maybe the hardest one, what reason do I have to leave? But what if that's the wrong question? What if nothing has to be broken for something to no longer belong in your life? Today, I want to talk about our tendency to require a problem before we give ourselves permission to want something different, because sometimes nothing is wrong. Something has simply changed. We are much more comfortable leaving things that are broken. Think about how much easier change becomes when we have evidence. A toxic workplace, an unhealthy relationship, a commitment is unsustainable. An unsustainable commitment, a failed plan. Now we have reasons. We can explain it to other people. We can explain it to ourselves. But when something is fine, that's harder, because then leaving can feel ungrateful, selfish, wasteful, even irresponsible. So sometimes we unconsciously start building a case against what we have. We magnify the frustrations. We focus on what's missing. We rewrite the story, because if we can make the old thing bad enough, maybe we'll finally feel entitled to choose something new. Here's the thing, though. You don't have to make something wrong to acknowledge that it is no longer right for you. Gratitude and desire can coexist. This is an important distinction. Being grateful for what you have does not require you want it forever. You can appreciate what a job gave you and want a different challenge. You can value a friendship and recognize that that relationship has changed. You can be proud of a goal you once pursued and decide that goal no longer matters to you in the same way. You can love the life you've built and still feel called towards something different. Gratitude says, this mattered. Desire says, and something else matters now. Those statements are not in conflict. Sometimes growth is simply allowing both of them to be true. I've had coaching conversations where someone spends 20 minutes telling me about a decision they're considering, and they keep explaining why they shouldn't make the decision. My job is actually really good. My boss is great. I'm compensated well. There's nothing really wrong. And eventually I'll ask something like, are you trying to decide what you want, or are you trying to prove you're allowed to want it? Those are very different conversations, because sometimes people already know what they want. What they're searching for is permission. Permission to change their mind, permission to outgrow something, permission to choose differently without first proving that what they have is terrible. And sometimes the shift comes when they realize wanting something different is also useful information. It doesn't automatically mean you should blow up your life tomorrow. Remember, we just talked about gathering data in the last episode. But it deserves to be noticed, not prosecuted, not justified, not immediately acted upon, just noticed. Outgrowing something does not invalidate what it gave you. I think this is where change sometimes gets especially emotional. We sometimes believe that choosing something different means admitting the old choice was wrong, and it doesn't. A decision can have been absolutely right for who you were then, and no longer be right for who you are now. That doesn't make the years wasted. It doesn't make the relationship meaningless. It doesn't make the goal foolish. It doesn't erase what you learned. Something doesn't have to last forever in order to have been valuable for you. Some things are meant to shape you, not accompany you indefinitely. And honoring what something gave you may actually make it easier to release it without needing to diminish it first. Growth sometimes looks like updating your choices. We give ourselves permission to update almost everything else. Our plans, our strategies, our goals, our schedules, our priorities. But when it comes to our own lives, changing direction can feel like inconsistency. Yet you have new information now. You've had new experiences. You've developed new capabilities. Your values may have deepened. Perhaps your priorities shifted. You're making today's decisions with information the earlier version of you didn't have. That is not betrayal. That's learning. Growth does not require you to remain loyal to every decision you have ever made. Sometimes growth asks you to honor the person who made that original choice and still allow the person you are now to choose again. Here's your reflection question for today. Where in your life are you trying to prove something is wrong when the deeper truth may simply be that you want something different? And your power thought, you don't have to make something wrong to acknowledge that it is no longer right for you. Not every ending needs a villain. Not every change needs a crisis. Not every new direction requires you to reject where you have been. Sometimes you can simply say, that was good, that mattered, and I'm grateful for what it gave me, and I'm ready for something different. You don't have to destroy the old story to begin writing the next story. You can honor what was and still choose what will be. This week, notice anywhere you're building a case against something in your life. Before you add another piece of evidence, ask yourself, do I actually need this to be wrong before I'm allowed to consider something different? Don't rush into action. Just tell yourself the truth. Sometimes that's where change begins. Thank you for joining me for another episode of She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. If today's conversation made you think of someone who's waiting for something to become terrible before giving themselves permission to consider what's next, please share this episode with them. Until next time, remember, something can have been good and still be complete. You can be grateful and still want more. And you can honor who you were when you chose it, while giving who you are now permission to choose again.